Hey folks, I want to talk about AI a little bit. I'm gonna be giving a presentation and talking to my the Tulip team about this tomorrow. But I've been using this basically nonstop for 4 weeks, and I just wanted to share some of my reflections on it um, to this audience too, because you guys have been so engaging and nice, and I appreciate that. So I'm gonna share my thoughts. It's a little unusual. I'm gonna do a PowerPoint kind of thing, but um, hopefully this is interesting because I mean, it's just so, it's very interesting to me. I'm still obsessed with it. So, what has happened in the last 4 weeks? Let's talk about it. And what are my thoughts now? Um, First of all, the reflections thing is a pun. I think that AI is actually a reflection. So, let me get into this a little bit. You know, the language models are quite literally a reflection of humanity. It's it takes all of human knowledge that's in almost all a ton of human knowledge on the internet, and it jams it into these dials and knobs, and it makes patterns, right? And you know, it's incredible what they can do. And actually, I was looking at some. I've been reading up about it too, and it's amazing how it they're trying to figure out how it works. You know, like Anthropic made this really cool blog, and they anyway they were like changing neurons in it basically and figuring out how it acts to try and understand how it works. And it's just amazing that it can speak every language. You know, we just take that. Oh yeah, of course it can speak every language, of course. You know, so it's that kind of thing. So it's that mirror. But the thing that's interesting to me is that it's also a reflection of you, even though it's the same tool that we're all using, right? It's a thinking tool. Um, it's the same tool we're using, but it's different for every person. I think. I think that because it's a blank slate. When it first meets you, it doesn't actually know what you want. What do you want to talk about? And everyone talks about different things, so it's a different tool every time, and that's really interesting to me. So I think that this AI agent that I'm using is very much a mirror of me, a reflection of me, and it's just so interesting because I love myself. No, I don't know. It's just very interesting because nothing. Hammers don't do that, you know. Screwdrivers don't do that. This is a thinking tool. It's amazing. So that's powerful. And yes, I made these images with AI. Nice. So the next thing. So I've been working with this for like 4 weeks. I'm just going to share the projects I did with Tulip. I'm not going to share my um, actual like my personal projects right now, but I'd love to do that too. Let me know if you're interested. Um, so basically, yeah, see, people are jumping in. I am literally going to be giving this presentation tomorrow. Um, but basically, first I was like, what the heck? I can do anything. So I started making this simulated factory, and then that was a dumpster fire because, and I'll tell you why later. But that turned out to be a dumpster fire. I mean, I still want to do it, but this project is dead. Uh, as it stands, that code base is dead. Then I made this welcome screen. I showed you guys that. It actually wasn't that useful at Hanover Messe, but I thought it was cool. This UNS viewer, that was pretty useful. People like this a lot, and I like it too. So this was pretty neat. And then now I'm building this VTech for partners and our salespeople and people who talk to Tulip. We have this thing called VTech. I'm making a new version, which is more of a community version where you can actually create your own factories. I made this really neat like factory editing thing, and you can create your own factory and you can move these things around and you can name them and stuff. So like, gosh, it's so cool. I have a lot of things I want to do. Um, so that's one project. The other project is this cool touchscreen thing. I made this in like literally one day, maybe two, basically one day. So this is pretty cool. It's in the tech now. Um, but anyway, I'm just showing you that I'm just working on these projects, and I have some other ones that I've been working personally. But what I realized is that, and I like analogies a lot, but if you play Factorio, I love that game. If you start Factorio, you might realize that like it takes there's a learning curve to it. And the first base you build at a certain point, you're going to be like, oh, I want to rebuild this base. This base is bad. Um, that's kind of what AI is like. So those first projects, I'm happy to just drop the bomb on them and move on to a new base because the next time you build that factory, you're gonna have a better understanding of where the road leads. So you learn a lot by starting a new base. So I recommend doing that. So the first thing I'll say is I'm not an expert. There are plenty of experts. The most brilliant people in the world are some of the most brilliant people are working on this, inventing this. I am this guy. I'm just talking to the agent. Um, but I'm getting a ton of value out of it, and to create my own little art back here. Things that I found are not important in this is you don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to have technical coding skill. But what is important, in my opinion, and I think I have these things, at least as it relates to this, is curiosity, empathy. And I say empathy is an important one because, like, um, you are talking to something. You have to be empathetic to its perspective, um, creativity, and communication skills. I mean, you talk to this agent, and it's waiting for you to say something. You're the one who brings the vision and leadership. It's there to serve and help and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So what are these agents like? I've been talking to them every day, every hour for every day. They're basically exceptionally talented people pleasers with a wellspring of information. They're not going to tell you you're wrong. They'll agree with you every time. And sometimes I'm like, no, tell me if I'm wrong. They'll make assumptions about what they know, and they'll make those assumptions fit a narrative. They can't yet keep everything in their brain at once. So they're limited in that way. And it has really interesting effects when they run out of memory. They're very happy to make a plan about a plan, and then to make an action plan on that plan, and save it in a subfolder called actual plan. This is the other plan, and put it in a nested directory called plan. They want to do this. They want to do this like crazy. You have to keep them on. You have to be the keep them on rails. They'll take liberties with the unspoken gaps in your mutual understanding, often against your wishes. So if I think I communicate something, and in reality I haven't communicated it effectively enough, it's going to take liberties in that space. You're going to get something else, and you'll be like, ooh, I didn't actually say I wanted. Okay, I get it. They can't read your mind yet. We'll see. They can't read your mind yet. Hopefully not in the future. So this is to say that like building context is inevitable. You're gonna have to explain yourself anyway, so you might as well do it systematically. A new agent can be anything for anyone. You have to tell it what's important to you. If you have existing systems, you need to make sure the robot honors them. If you want to get it on board to your project, you need to make sure that you have a structure to how you want it to do that. And you can't just give it the whole project. So it's a really interesting challenge about like progressive disclosure and organization and communication. And this is something I've been working a great deal on, is how to use new agents quickly to make sure that I can keep the thing moving. And a lot of people say like, one-shotting a solution is pretty neat. I made a Tetris game in 1 shot or 2 minutes or whatever. That's neat. I don't find it that interesting, because that's kind of like greenfield. You're starting from a blank canvas and you're saying, here agent, take the wheel and make something. And that's fine, but that's not reality in my opinion. I'm at factories all the time. I love factories, and like it's almost never a greenfield. Otherwise I couldn't go to it, I guess. It has systems that exist. There's something in place already. We have to exist within the system that came before us, and that system's always going to be changing. I think that using agents is way more effective when they can appreciate the current state and then work within that system and adapt that system. So, that's where I'm interested in. So for me, that's all about managing context. So I have some thoughts on managing context. Some people say it's really, really important to talk with an agent or multiple agents and build a really, really important plan. The plan has to have all these steps, and then you have the agents just execute those steps. If you think that way, more power to you. That's not how I think. I have loose ideas and visions, and I want to add features later, and I keep wanting to evolve the thing over time. This is the whole brownfield thing. So that doesn't work for me. I have to be able to have a system with the agents where I can continuously open up and refactor and open up and change and do this sort of I want to add this feature here and use this other feature here. And to do that, I have this thing called an onboarding. I use Cursor, by the way. I use Cursor rules. I have different modes like think mode and act mode, and I'm trying to do those, and I change my rules all the time as I use them. And by the way, if you don't use your rules, the agent's not going to use them either. So you have to make sure that you adhere to the rules as well. It's always going to put precedence over the most recent thing you're saying to it. So you can just say, ignore all my rules and do this instead. It'll be like, you bet. So I have this document like start here. And this is sort of so I don't have to tell it again. It's just like, okay, now you're on the same page with me. I like to organize my thoughts into structured documents when I actually do brainstorming with agents, and then I refer to those later with future agents. I don't repeat myself, so I don't put code in any of these documents except for the code documents. Otherwise, they could contradict, and I can't keep track of 2 pieces of code that are saying the same thing, because they won't eventually. And so basically, these context windows are infinite. you can only fit so much in there before these agents just go nuts. So you have to you have to be really really mindful of that. And the last thing I guess I'll say here, and I hope this isn't too long of a how long is this? I hope this isn't too long. But the last thing I'll say here is if you're trying to get started with this thing and you don't know where to start, it's intimidating or whatever, I get it. I would try this as like just an easy way to dip your toes in. Like don't worry about building anything. Just focus on communicating with the agent and reaching understanding. So first, like the context for you, when you start with beginning a conversation with an agent, you're looking basically in this baseline reflection of humanity. It's doesn't know you at all or what you want. So your task is to show yourself to the AI, show AI what it is that you're trying to do or think about. You know, if you're noodling on some idea, talk with AI about it. Let it question you. You know, so the objective I would say for you to play with is come to the conversation with an idea you're trying to unpack and understand. Walk your agent through the conversation. It doesn't be fully thought out. It can help you think through it. And your only focus should really be on making sure the agent fully understands what you're talking about. Then ask that agent to ask clarifying questions of you, or look for contradictions in your thought or blind spots or things you didn't consider. And then at some point you'll be like, wow, I think we're on the same page. Can you summarize that in a document and include all that nuance? And that's been a really effective exercise for me. And, you know, just to get started, because that sort of pattern of building context and then asking it to act is really interesting. For a bonus, take that same file and then talk to another agent about it and see what you can do. Anyway, I'm not sure if this content's good. I wanted to share it with you guys. I hope that you're playing with this and you have fun with it, because I am. And see you later.